Julie here with Sirius Dallas Moon. This is Venus Hour, and this is Mars Day. Mars is 12 degrees Sagittarius, and Venus is 18 degrees Scorpio. The ascendant is ruled by Venus, and the midheaven is 22 Cancer. The moon is ruling the ascendant at 19 degrees Sagittarius, and the midheaven is applying to Jupiter. I want to talk about the real estate aspect of things that are going to happen towards the Saturn Neptune in Pisces, and definitely by Aries, particularly when Saturn is ruling over Pluto. When Pluto ingressed into Aquarius, I said, whoever can get out of the lodges, get out of the lodges. Whoever cannot get out of the lodges, you folks need to unite to rebel the execution and this programming. It's not even the order to decapitate or torture, it's the programming to do so. And the reason being is unfolding from many other things that happen. Right now I want to address the real estate aspect. Let's talk about the real estate of lodges. Lodges are situated in some of the best real estate, whether it's in cities or whether it's in the rural areas. Usually it's the rural areas, and they sit on some of the best real estate piece, and not the best in terms of the competitiveness that we usually think about. Okay, it's not the best spot in Fifth Avenue. It's the best real estate in terms of a rural area around nature, all the things that we would want from a monastery. Yes, and if anybody, okay, if we take out the monastery and we put an RV there, okay, that RV would get, oh, forget about the physical stuff. Haunted, raped, tortured, by classified projects funneled by their own public money to torture them, filmed naked, man or woman, child, usually they like to do that to children, if not ritually sacrificed. Who does that? Because somehow the monasteries don't get that type of reaction. Somehow all the lodges. Now, we can talk about churches, but there's, you know, we could talk about churches, but a church is usually in a well-populated place, okay? It's not like a dome somewhere. Now, we can definitely talk about churches, and we should talk about churches, but I'm talking about something that people have been unaware of. Do you really think they'll let you live after that's how you got your real estate, not just for the lodge, but for oneself, whether by investment properties or living properties, or even the houses that the lodge's members live in? When that's the type of culture you're surrounded with. Now, it's the same for indigenous people. You see, if you live in an indigenous place or in a neighborhood, I don't know, or what, and that person does dark magic on that person, that person does dark magic on that person, that person on that person, that person on that person, and somehow everybody feels entitled to rape, men and women. It's Genghis Khan o'clock. Why do people even think? Here, I live right now in a place where one sudden day 9 buildings were burned. The new moon in Scorpio. It's not one sudden day. I hear from the neighbors around, an older lady. She lives in a building. She doesn't know which one of the neighbors is doing dark magic on her. Older lady. And then tells that she does that. So as per her, older lady with all the age diseases, she lives in a place, whoever does the dark magic says that she does that. Now everybody hates her. The police, why would the police care? The police gives them money to do those things, to traffic. To my eyes, okay, a police chief in Demas, okay, retired police officer. To my eyes, he tells me, because I asked him about the targeted individuals, and he says, well, the people they give money to do that type of witchcraft, they get a lot of money, and it's very difficult to prove. And then he starts joking about human trafficking. Next to his wife, next to his daughter. The next day, his daughter began to work at a cafe that I like to drink. And we meet at the bathroom. She's like, "Oh, you remember me with my family and so on and so forth." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, got nothing against her, but like, she has to live with that dad." If she wants to leave the house, her dad was a chief commander in the police. That's the police. And he wasn't joking about prostitution. He was joking about a prostitute that ran away because she was trafficked when he was hiring her services. Next to his wife. Sitting in the train. Hmm. Maybe his daughter came to me for help. I don't know how to help. I don't have housing. And she will need housing independent of her family. Where are the segments of the police they can actually do something? They have to fight the segments of the police that are in with the lodges. Now, everybody knows they're in with the lodges. It's a treason cult. Now, what's going to happen to these monasteries? The same thing that they did to the housing. Is it not obvious? Now, here's the thing. Are they going to stop at the monasteries? Of course not. And it's always going to be those little children that do pranks. It's not little children that do pranks. It's children that were ritually abused, ritually raped, had to rape other children, have things on camera on them, are a ball of rage that nobody can help, and are looked at school as the problematic child. If not even at their families. If they already are with no... If they're still with their families somehow. And imagine, a family. The younger boy, the boy rapes his younger sister, or even his older sister. You got to do something. Now, the sister has a trauma for life. That boy probably learned that behavior somewhere. What do you do? Go to therapist. Good morning. The therapist, if the minute the therapist reads, the minute the psychic reader reads that that boy, okay, had work done on him, the therapist, even if he was saint, the therapist is tortured, ritually abused, programmed until, and the therapist to begin with won't get the license to be a therapist, not a clinical therapist. Why do I come up against the astrology, the attempt to have astrology certification as a must? Well, I'm not giving one-to-one readings. I don't see myself doing psychological consultations. Frankly, I mean, I deal with enough. Okay? If I make money from astrology, probably, even if it would be readings, it would probably be, some holistic perspective, I don't know, on the residence. Now Uranus is going these 7 years to my fourth house. And then, in the best case, it would be, okay, here, that thing shows up, that thing shows up, that thing shows up. Okay, go to a psychologist. That would be the best for me. If there would be a psychologist to refer the person that actually went through the training of giving consultations to people. But if I have to get certification, they would want me to do crimes against humanity. Not if the certification is not a must, probably not. Okay, unless the school is in with the lodges. Find an astrology school that's not in with the lodges. I don't know, but there are a lot of things that people can do. I have my colleague Ksenia Moore, my colleague Lada Doncheva. Ksenia Moore has her Royal Academy where people can take courses digitally. There's a lot of digital enrollment into courses. But here's the thing: the minute that it becomes a must, then the requirements begin. Because there would be, and I saw it during aromatherapy. I wasn't in with the lodges. Then I was said to be the sacrifice. And it comes to the client side, because from the client side, if let's say consultation costs $300, okay, that should have been suffice to have a business model where I would get a house and my client would be able to get a house. But if that $300, however, whichever business model I'll work, now this is to do with holistic healing, with energy reading. If you come to me and I recommend, I don't know, geranium essential oil with you, you better bet the minute that oil came up in the consultation, I will be meditating with that oil and seeing what issues I have to resolve with myself. Because there's a reason we came to talk about it for you, the patient or the client, but I'm also side of that equation. It didn't just come up. Why did it come up with me? And then it takes time. If you want an actual person that can actually hold the space, that takes time. Now, if I have to murder a child or mind hack someone to get kidnapped in the meantime, all these BIPOC children kidnapped. At first, it's the BIPOC children. Who is going to remote view into where these children went? Channel and communicate with them. What would be the best solution for them? Because it's not for everyone to come back home. Because some of them maybe ran away from home. Now, if the parents work in two jobs, doesn't have to be a horrible thing. It's okay. Parents work in two jobs, another parent work in two jobs, getting angry, fighting, arguing. The child is sensitive. Boom, they're in the street. Doesn't have to be beating. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the horse. Now imagine how many horrors. Who is going to remote view into that child, channel what happened to that child? Now, that remote viewer will have to take into account that they may see that child organ harvested, that they may see that child was trafficked. And who are they going to work with? The police, the same police that targeted the child, paying money for people to do dark witchcraft, to traffic that child. Now the money runs through the police, and then the police commander goes to as the client side. And joke with his spouse and child next to them about the entire thing. Guys in it under, yeah, I'm a person, I make a lot of stunts and this and that. You don't make a lot of stunts, you make a lot of crimes against humanity. The lower ranks in both police and the lodges are the masquerade for the higher ranks. Now, if the lower ranks are not going to ask themselves, what do the higher ranks do? They're going to end up at the frontier. Because, the normal person, they don't run into a police commander. And the police sends a shit ton of PR. Shit ton. I'm going to the beach with my mother. Then I see a lady there filming her son in this surfing competition. You say, yeah, I used to go. Yeah, I was used to drive to the south and so on and so forth. Yeah, I used to work at the police. Nice lady. It's like, hey, we're not that bad. At the money line, of course, most of the infiltrated organizations are not the infiltrated people. But at the money line is that when there is targeted individuals by classified projects, that is already a pandemic. It's not even one person there, one person here. And then the buildings in the city burn. Now, when that happens, everybody is, oh, these are children, they're doing pranks, somebody has to do something about it. Nobody's going to do something about it. That's real estate. They did something with 100,000 dead people in Gaza? They waited 2 years and called it a genocide. And then off to real estate investment. Now, what's going to happen with all these monasteries? They're real estate. And what's going to happen with the people of the lodges that would try to protect their monastery? They're going to be looked at as the tree huggers and shot dead in similar fashion. Now, Of course, it's going to look like they're protecting their religion and they're killing that religion and that sect. Come on, everybody knows that to live in those type of villages, it would be that that person is doing Daco cult on that person and says that that person did that. Now go deal with it. Nobody can deal with that. When the entire village is burned down or is bombed or I don't know what, it's like, oh, that's terrible. It's a terrible atrocity. And everybody knows what we're like there. Oh, the place was so serene. And the priest, he was such a nice man. He was helping anybody. Of course, the children that they raped can talk. People cannot be sleeping in their own bed without being harassed. Buy their own public money funnel to that. And the people around them are in it because they think they're gonna get a house here, a house there, a house there, a house there, a house there. They're gonna have all the girls. They're gonna have the. What is it that they think that they will have? Everybody know what they'll have at the ICC. But the ICC will say, okay, go and expose the ICC. Go and expose the child trafficking in the ICC. They got on you, you got on them. And they got on you. They wouldn't promise you no house if they didn't get. Maybe because they tortured the members. Maybe they tortured you and you forgot that they got on you. But in the initiation, you had to do something. They Nobody would tell you you're gonna have this real estate, that over there. You're gonna buy this, you're gonna buy that, without you doing something to some child or to some woman. And particularly it's when the men and the women tend to their inner child. It's when they grow spiritually. It's when they try to heal and recover. It's when they change their nutrition for the best. Because you're supposed to take from that frequency, lower the frequency, feed it to some I don't know what. So, and the point of that is not that there is this God entity that is that, nada. It's that you are meant to do a ritual to keep them from progressing and take what's in their energy. Now, at first, what's going to happen? At their energy, there was something beautiful. But then you forget that you took from the energy that the ritual was done to. They present it as contract with Satan. Because have you ever noticed how that has, even if they bother to present it, but have you ever wondered why did all these cults seem to operate in similar fashion? You can't come out of the contract, you can't come out of the this, you can't come. If you do a ritual to siphon energy, and you consciously do that ritual to siphon energy, at first you're gonna enjoy, but hey, if you prevented that person from recovering, then you're going to be dealing with their diseases. They are taking the action to recover. You try to prevent them to take the action to recover. Try to fumble in their road. So that you will see, what is it that they're tapping into? Oh, what real estate, what money, what riches, what goods they're tapping into. And yes, in the beginning, these people, they do find the riches and so on and so forth. Because when a person is, if I'm clearing, I don't know, my toenail fungi, I'm not aware that my toenail fungi, my so-and-so feet, is curating the relationship with a certain soil and geographic, geopolitical region that eventually is unlocking the place where I would be able, I don't know, to look at the stars, to recover, and so on. And to other people, that place is considered real estate. Those that see real estate properties in my chart should take very deeply into account that the ruler of the real estate is imbued with Chiron and freaking Aries. It is been curating the properties that were held by the Epstein so that ritual abuse survivors can live in that. That's why I'm tapped into those type of trajectories. My Chiron is in conjunct in Pluto and Neptune. It's in the sign of housing. Those that try to tap into that energy, they will always have. Now, they try to take that into a flipper type of deal. And even in that flipper type of deal, there would be something that they want, like, if I barely know how to handle that, what makes them think that they know how to handle an energy that I have been dealing with for years, not as an external consultant, where they could see the things from outside and have a different point of view, but as an internal consumptor. The sovereign is sovereign. There is no right over the sovereign. And there is no right to prevent one from being sovereign. That is a crime against humanity. Now, there are going to be quite some religious structures, Saturn, and hospital structures. Now, for those of you, when hospitals are going to explode very likely, so when that happens, people say, "Oh, it's such a terrible disaster. How could they do that to sick people?" Like, how many people are hospitalized in hospitals? Why don't they besiege the hospital and ask for the releasing of the people that are kidnapped there? You know, the Bedouin families, there's a lot of issues about the Bedouin families, okay? Because of the tribal wars. They once had a Hamula war. 1,000 people fighting in front of Soroka Hospital in Beersheba, Israel. That being said, they don't just accept it when they send a person living to the hospital and all of a sudden, over nothing, they come up dead, and it happens by the masses. And the places where they would host the organs and probably trade from there is within the hospital itself. Donating blood. Huge loss. Now, of course, in a war, huge loss of blood. What happens when a person goes to donate blood? The needle that's injected to their vein is a bigger needle, and it forces them to sit there an hour or so with that bigger needle in pain. Now, for the receiver of the blood donation, a person that's already in pain and already sick, having a blood donation that is coming from peace, health, joy, is improving the chances of that blood being able to not create a reactivity, adding trauma to the body by what is supposed to heal that. Because the person that sat donating that blood sat for an hour in pain. Is it not possible to make 2 meetings? When I was going through the iron injections, okay, it's not possible to make 2 meetings, one and then another, one hand, then another, in the, first of all, it's easier on the body of the donor. They can more easily sit there for even more than an hour with a small needle that they don't feel in their vein. The person that receives the donation from a place of peace. Okay? Donation that came from a place of relative peace. And a body that had time to adjust. Now, here is what's more done with these blood donations. If the donor is gay, particularly gay men, we're still not sure if they take the blood to actually people. Because they used to throw away the blood donations of gay people, of BIPOC people. Now, that some of the blood ends up in research, and I don't mind hematological research improving upon solutions for patients from my blood donations. I do mind when hematologists can't really do their job, because when they see that something causes damage in the research, they are being targeted. No touch torture. Do you know how many times they found a cure for cancer? I can't get the people. When I was doing my thesis, um, I taught German to a doctor, family doctor, and just the basic German. And we talk about my thesis and so on. And she tells me she has a colleague that works in research. They found cure for cancer that gets terminally ill people. I don't remember which type of cancer. Terminally ill people on remission. Now, then the budget stopped and the people returned to their debts over nothing. Now, what would happen? What do you think happened to the researchers? They would suffer targeted individuals, no-touch torture, have their dogs killed. Um, they try to have them in all kinds of accidents, try to poison them. When I was working on my thesis proposal in COVID, they tried to put me into some sort of thing that I would think it's psychosis. And then they poisoned me with something that I would associate with something that I already turned against, which is the products that they give in our class lawsuits after class lawsuits. And nobody would tell me that there probably was some sort of poisoning that went on there, even regardless of what of that, because I went through extreme targeting by no-touch torture. And I had the research, the theoretical framework, and the technological suggestion to test the hypothesis to prove that. Why it happened fractions of a millisecond before COVID. And a person like me, and let me tell you, I didn't just get the first shot, I got two shots. In the communities of people that actually know something about the military operation and so on, I'm considered a dumbass. Okay? Because I didn't just take one shot, I took two booster shots. So, from my perspective, I take a shot, there is side effects. Those things weren't there before the shot, they were there after the shot. Okay, it's a side effect. No problem. I'm an aromatherapist, I can detox, and so on and so forth. There was a freaking baby, and then we were sitting with the neighbors. There was a baby there. I'm not going to do. Now, what does a normal scientifically oriented mind does when they take a certain product and that product is creating certain side effects that are not related to, let's say, symptoms of flu or whatnot, or stuff that would be perceived normal with the way with the logic of vaccines. If it creates side effects, that's not the product that's relevant. If it harms the if it interferes with the fifth vital sign, that's not something. Science. If I take it out detox and I don't have these interferences, and the people that are paid to do the dark occult, to do something like what that show does with witchcraft, later they become doulas and buy a house. That means that those are the ladies, that are certified to help women have natural easy birth, and they will always have some women having natural easy birth. And here is the thing. Remember the example with the psychologist? Those people will also get, if they turn to fertility, they will also get tortured until they harm the fifth vital sign. Now, that thing is all affiliated with the lodges. Can't hide underneath your lower rank and turn the other way and not talk about MK Ultra, because MK Ultra, I have to talk about MK often. And guild after guild network after network, science field after science, not just science fields, even Richard Feynman, they did like physics, okay? Einstein, theoretical physics. They built a freaking A-bomb. They weren't paid to just dream away. And at that time, they were exploring LSD, so they got money to dream. Because they were building more facets of the dream hacking. Now, when they are dying by the masses, everybody says, oh, they're persecuted, they're this, they're that. Look at the various levels of things that happened before that. You want to tell me that the people that work with MK Often and MK Ultra don't know how to deprogram their peers? Don't know how to unite and stop the torture culture? They look at the person that took a shot, it made side effects, stop taking what does side effects, while they're keeping, yeah, we'll have this house and that house and that house and that house and that house. That shit was a hoax. Could have costed me my life. Imagine that type of shit. Now, they have all the answers, whether it's addictions, pedophilia, preserving the forests, reforestation, rewilding, housing solutions, ecosystemic. They try to make people accept the crimes against humanity that they do. It won't help it. Like, if you are successful at convincing someone that the crimes against humanity that you do are somehow okay, they're not. But let's say you convinced someone, okay, they would let you to do that, they would let you to do that, they would let you to do that, and then all of you are going to be genocided. The rebellion of Ghetto Lodge happened in Ghetto Lodge. It means there was a ghetto to that lodge, and the looting of the lodges was just done by other lodges. When the lodges were in the ghetto, they rebelled. Why did they wait until being in the ghetto to rebel? They have the solutions. You know why they can't really kill the people or depopulate and so on? The depopulation is the ritual sacrifice that they do of human lives. This is why the people are depopulated in such horrible ways. There's no reason for there to be horrible deaths. We have the technology to make death not horrible. Any death, whether it's in a war or I don't know what. It's a ritual sacrifice. Now, to those people that donate blood, now they have the blood details. All the details that one can derive from the blood on any donor. Who are people that are donating blood? They're researchers. They're coming from all sectors and all walks of life. Some of them are, soldiers, young soldiers. What do they do with that blood? They target those individuals because they try to have them work for their nefarious means. A skill, whether it's psychic awareness and so on and so forth, is only working competently when it's used for one's best interest and for humanity's best interest. They don't have special powers. They were tortured and they try to bring down the energy of other people to siphon from it. If you pay attention to this type of dark arts, then you see they don't actually have power. All they do is just invest a shit ton of energy in making people miserable to siphon their energy. Other than that, they can do nothing. Now, it's not because they can't do nothing. It's because they work by the torture behavior that keeps their own skills latent. To reconnect with their skills, they need to drop the culture. They need to build a sense of belonging. Now, if that's not enough, the fact that I was doing research into the body-mind question, also when it came to recovery from trauma and so on and so forth, I had some good knowledge from experience teaching, and one of the things that I was looking is to build a sense of connection that's not a trauma bond and that's not around the trauma alone. Because when people can only connect with one another by the experiences that they relate to that are bad, then they don't build a sense of connection about positive experiences. That is the bread and butter of the cult. They have people raping one another and being unable to live without one another. I'm talking about men. And they use the positive experience to interchange with the negative to keep people in trauma bond. It's a global society under Stockholm Syndrome. And they're being told you're going to have this house, that house, and that house. They're going to make money. What do they do with them? They have to keep themselves drugged up all the time. Sexuality is not even something that they enjoy. Now, some of the people were born into cloned societies. Some of the people weren't. And here is the thing. It's not that I had it, how should I say that? It's not that I ain't got nothing to do but to talk about this topic. No, it's that this is how I respond. And I respond with reason. They are creating themselves haunted properties for their residents. And they bomb each other. When I talk about monasteries are going to be bombed, it's not that there is going to be a union of people that is going to suddenly persecute the lodges. They persecute one another. It's like the Hamula Wars in front of Soroka. People that were hospitalized, so 1,000 people fighting. It's like something taken of a historical scene juxtaposed to a hospital. They thought they started a war. Now, this is it's the same as organized crime. People are just waiting it out because what can the people do? They don't. They take people. They take children to pepper spray innocent people just over nothing, so that they will ban pepper spray. I'm not even talking about Second Amendment something. Pepper spray. Now, one thing that can absolutely happen in United States with certain areas is the attempt to ban is an actual attempt to ban weapon for civilians. They want the people to not even be able to protect themselves with so much as a pepper spray. So who is going to kill them? Only they, one another, which they do. People that live in Beersheba, that used to live there before 2009-10, they tell you would hear gunshots, you would hear, I don't know, it was organized crime. Now what happened? There's a neighborhood that was, there was a TV show named Zinzana on that neighborhood of so much crime it was there. It was the mafia. Eventually, and it was like, how was that over? They killed one another. One guy got vengeful, his vengeance got him into prison. When a person is acting from vengeance, then they're gonna expose themselves. They got even the Israeli police getting them into prison. I mean, that's because they were vengeful. The other folks killed one another. It's exactly what's going to. All the people are like, we're going to have that building and that building and that building and that building. All these people are going to get killed by one another with all their buildings. Now, to the people not knowing where to even park their RV or how to even fill in the tank, ain't nobody gonna care that that millionaire or that billionaire or that this or that did their money by trafficking people, by practicing the dark cult, by raping children, by making people go missing. They don't care what Nobel Prize is attached to that billionaire when they're gone. The only type of regime where a prime minister that has not been re-elected can ride bicycles home and go back to work for the private sector is something that is the closest to democratic regime. Now, the Chinese, look at the Chinese, they have been having dynasties and empires, big, very big empire. We can call it a country, but China is an empire. How were the Mings to the people? How were the Mings to women? Now, I don't know the current government, but they're going to have to ask themselves the question. Otherwise, they'll end up like the Mings. They know it. They know it. It's from Chinese culture and philosophy. Those that punish the land lose mandate of the heaven. Now, they don't have it as those that punish the land. They are being taught something that will set them into death mode, and that is that the sky punishes the land, and this is their excuse for men beating women. Sky, yang, women, yin. And by the way, I learned from the lady that teaches Chinese, if you're going to medical diagnosis in China and you're told yang, it means you're positive. Yin, negative. And by the way, it's not about the women being negative. It's about, because yin is also the feminine. Yin is that which is the void. So negative means not void. Okay, so just just to make that clear, yang is basically the plus sign. Now, here is the thing that I said, oh, what women are the well, the womb holds the space, the baby young fills the space, which is okay. That I know that the baby can also be yin because it's hidden and so on, but the issue is they're being told that the sky punishes the land, and at the same time, okay, for example, being unwed, being mid-late 20s unwed, already it's called leftover wife. But having two daughters, some daughters would be thrown because of the one child, when it was the one child policy. I think they changed that. Then, if they had a girl and a girl cannot preserve the family name, they would try to kill that girl. Or what about people that have accidental babies? What would happen to those babies? Now, the Ming Dynasty was in that thing, and where's the double bind is the fact that they know that if an emperor is assassinated, it means they lost the mandate of the heaven. And they lost the mandate of the heaven because they were not good for the people. But at the same time, they're being told that the sky punishes the land. It means that every emperor that would get even spiritual consultation in China, and they did have good spiritual consultation. There was the book of predictions that predicted many things, and I think it stopped in 1944. But they're taught that the sky punishes the land, which means they wouldn't do anything to not harm women because they think that the sky's job is to punish the land. Okay, it's not that it punishes the land all the time. And no, it's not just the seasons. And at the same time, they're told that if an emperor is assassinated, how do they get an emperor to be assassinated? They get information with the children, that same as